Hey, nurse leaders, have another video for you here today. And this one is about how do you develop people? Now, it's one of the most important skills for a leader, particularly a nurse leader, is how do we develop people? How do we get that deep bench of promotion ready people? So I'm going to give you 3 tips today on how you can do that. The first one that I want you to think about is that you need to pressure test your team. So perform pressure testing. What does this mean? Well, it's important to know who on your team can handle different levels of stress. So some people are just locked in during stress, and some people get really worked up and they can't think. And so some people need very specific direction under stress. Some people can just go on autopilot during stress. Now, your job as leaders to know who succeeds in each situation. Sometimes you can train somebody to be better in a situation, but more importantly, as a leader, you need to know who you can count on in times of stress and who you need to give a little bit longer runway. So another way that I describe this really with a longer runway is think about when you're doing change. I have people on my team who take off like a helicopter. So there's a change, boom, they're airborne, they can do it right away. And I have other people who need a really long runway, weeks, days, for sure, hours before they can lift off on a new idea. I need to know who can handle what. So one of the hacks that I always tell people about that really makes them chuckle is I also try to pressure test who I can trust with information. So early on, when I'm with the team, I will provide people a different piece of information and ask them not to share it with anybody. And then I see how long it takes for me to get that unique piece of information back. Just be honest, for those of you that are laughing, there are some people who I get this information back to me in minutes, like less than an hour. And some people will be hours, some people will be days, and some people are a vault. I still have not heard the piece of information that I shared with them. And some people are like, well, Corey, is that manipulation? No, it's pressure testing. I need to know who I can trust with valuable information and who I can't. And because each person has a different piece of information, it's easy for me to figure that out. Now, that doesn't mean that this turns into a performance conversation or whatever. I just will coach them throughout the way. Now, look, I want to be able to share valuable information with you, but I need to know that you aren't going to share it. And so I usually don't tell them that I've done that. Some of them are discovering it for the first time in this video that I've had that little pressure test for everybody. So that's pressure testing. Perform pressure testing on your people so they know how they handle communication, how they handle confidential messages, and how they work under stress. All right, the next one is allowing failure to be an option. This is something that's difficult for us in healthcare because so many things are life and death that we try to make so many other things life and death. So there are many patient contacting processes that we can't take radical risks on because it is too high. But there are some business operation processes that it's okay if we fail. It's not going to result in a patient harm, patient issue. But a lot of times we'll hear staff would talk about moving a business process. Be like, I have a patient safety concern about that. I think that's going to be patient harm. I think that's going to be the safety concern. And you just have to step back and say, really, I don't think that it will affect the patient. It may slow down this, or we may have to do another step, but it's possible that it improves the efficiency of what we're trying to do. And so you need to be sure that you're the type of leader that tests things and allows failure to be an option. Success is a terrible teacher. Failure is an amazing one. And so by being comfortable and allowing failure, you can actually get to process improvement quicker. So be sure the type of leader that allows failure to be an option when it's appropriate. All right, the third thing that I want to talk about with regards to developing people is thinking about the future you. Now, that doesn't mean you as an individual, but it means the person who's going to replace you or take your job, right? Let's just say that you work a long career and now you're ready to retire. What is it the person that's going to be replacing you 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now needs you to do today? So you might be able to say, look, this person has a really bad attitude, but they're a great nurse. I can manage it. Well, is it fair to the future you to kick that can down the road for them? Is there a difficult decision that you need to make? Is there a process change that you need to make today? I believe that the future person who has my job will likely have new challenges, new obstacles, new hurdles, new rules and regulations that is actually going to make their job harder than mine. I think that my job as a whole might be the easiest that it's ever going to be. And if that's the case, what heavy lifting can I do for them today to make their job easier in the future? Now, they're never going to know it. They're never going to appreciate it. My satisfaction doesn't come from them knowing and appreciating. It comes from me doing, to say, I'm going to make sure that the person in the future doesn't have to make this difficult change, doesn't have to continue to have these crucial conversations with this person. This thing that I've been avoiding, I'm going to do, not for myself, but for the next person who has this job. And man, that's the most selfless thing that you can do as a leader, is to actually do the hard work today. Whatever it is that you've been avoiding, whatever it is that you're putting off, whatever you know that some leader down the road is going to wish that you've taken care of, just take care of it today. Most of us who have been leaders have inherited something that we're like, oh man, I wish they would have taken care of this 5 years ago. It would have been so much easier than taking care of it now. And we can think about those situations. Let's not pay that sort of negativity forward. Paying it forward is about positivity. Paying it forward is about us taking care of those problems today so someone else doesn't have to take care of them tomorrow. All right, that's it for today. Nurse leaders, you got this. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.